shows up.
Okay, it's currently 3:06, so I'll call the meeting to order. Lauren, was the meeting properly noticed?
It was.
Okay, and we do not have a quorum.
You do not.
Okay. Are there any owners that have comments? There's no owners that have comments?
No owners are on the call.
Okay. How do we handle this procedurally then? Because we can't really adopt an agenda if we're going to push the action item to the end to see if she gets here.
You can just go straight into discussion items and we can address those as we're going. And then if she jumps on, then we can adopt the agenda, do the action items and move forward.
Okay. We'll do that then. We'll move straight into the discussion items. I guess discussion item A is the covenants issues. I know that back on November 7th, we met in person with the Malaya and were promised that within 30 days, the billboard and the fence would be done. And we're now 5 months later and neither one of those two things are done. So can you give me an update on the discussions you've had with them?
So the billboard that I shared with you the other day, they need to send it back. It needs to be more family friendly. The photo for the billboard. And with respect to the violation items, I am meeting with Alma on property on Tuesday at 10 a.m. to go over what is left outstanding. And she is aware that we will escalate if the items have not been cured.
What kind of timeline are we going to put on that? Because back in January, on January 4th, I had emailed Chris and he had said that it was going to go to the 30-day notice. And obviously we're way past those 30 days. So what exactly is the next step in the timeline?
The notice was to clean,
The notice was to clean.
and they did clean.
They did clean, but they did not remove. The items are still visible from 192. So when I talked to Alma today, she said they are still working on it, but it's not completed yet.
Can I ask you just a quick question? Are you taking over for Chris? So you're the person that's handling all this stuff? It's no longer. So,
It's no longer Chris at this time. It's me as the standards manager that will be
Okay.
visiting all of the CNOA properties.
okay, so visiting the Cronulla properties. Okay. And you did, it sounded like you did. So I
Yes.
appreciate that. But it sounds like they didn't do anything until you showed up, right? Because they haven't sent any renderings of signs until you showed up, right? From November, or did we get something before that?
No, they shared a rendering about 2.5 weeks ago, but it was
Okay.
not family friendly. So I had to send it back. And then their update also was not family friendly. So it needed to be sent back.
What was on the I'm trying to remember. Was there a rendering on there last time, or wasn't it just logos? Or what was it before? Wasn't it?
Just a
Wasn't
logo.
Right now,
Yeah.
this is Malia.
Right now, it's just says Malia. And
Right.
the new one, yeah.
I'll bring it up and send it over to you so you can see.
Yeah. So they want to radically change it, I guess. So that's,
Yeah,
And-
the first one, the picture had pictures of ladies sitting at the pool side from behind with not full coverage.
yeah.
The second one wasn't too bad. It was a father and son in the pool. You just couldn't see that there were swim trunks on them. I don't know. I didn't see a huge issue with it, but
Yeah, this is an interesting thing because, again, I trust what you guys said, but none of us are like, this is a marketing sign, it's almost like, I guess, are we going to say we don't like it? Or before they didn't really have an image or something, right? It was a logo, it was, a Malia Hotel or whatever it said. So now they're adding some stuff to it. Is there somebody else, and I don't mean more qualified, but like none of us are, or they could keep on sending us stuff, or what? What's our qualification? That is,
so
as
we'll
long as
kick
we
it
don't.
to, we asked it to be family friendly, which we didn't feel like the displaying of the rear ends was family friendly and not the aesthetic that we wanted to share for celebration. When it comes to kind of a final approval, I would say we should kick it to Mark Jones for him to kind of bless it from the CNOA covenants perspective. Since he has the most experience out of everybody and he's,
Yeah,
and
right.
he's willing to give his
Yeah.
2 cents.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was kind of looking at the end. This seems like a very different animal than we've dealt with before in a way. So
So this is the current proposal billboard.
how is anybody going to see that from the road driving 45 miles an hour? That makes no sense.
Yeah, but say it's not very conducive with a billboard.
Right.
It's very
I-
busy. It's busy.
I don't think she understands what the reasoning for that, right? I mean, people are driving on the road, want to know where to turn. I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Okay.
I agree that we should probably kick this to the architect, especially Mark Jones, because that in particular billboard has gone back quite some years about discussions over it. So I think having him knowing best what they would and wouldn't, Disney typically would or would not have approved is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think, right, that's the difference is this is not a billboard off of I-4 that they can choose anything they want. This is a sign that's the entrance to their hotel from 192, which is a different thing. You know what I mean? A completely different animal, which means that they don't, I think we should tell them what we're looking for first. And maybe we do talk to Mark Jones before we get more stuff from them, because if we're looking for typesetting and just their name and stuff like that and not graphics, which is probably what they would expect for something like this, Disney, I would say, or standards, let's call it, because we are the standards now. We may want to talk to them first, because going back and forth might be, because I think Malia seems to be reaching the wrong thing. I don't think that anybody's looking for that kind of, whatever you just showed us doesn't seem like that's really appropriate, I think, for that spot.
No.
Can you
Yeah.
ask them to get it externally done? Because it looks like it's just someone doing it on
In PowerPoint?
Canva.
I can't.
Actually, it
require-
looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're Adobe Illustrator. Or something. I don't know what. No, actually, that would be better if they did in that. Yeah, it looks like an amateur. It looks like she did it herself, basically.
Yeah.
So, but also, I mean, I don't. Again, this isn't a billboard off of I-4. Your next drive 2 minutes. This is literally a sign on property that has a different. I think a different representation. So I don't know. Yeah. So maybe we do the opposite. Yeah. I mean, again, they should have it outside, do it, but maybe we should be talking to Mark Jones first or somebody else to say, what is the purpose of the sign? That type of thing. Even the celebration company, if there's any previous information on that at all somewhere. So.
Yes, I mean, there are signage requirements in CNOA, so
Okay.
it's usually not ones that are out showing to 192, but
Yeah.
Do
This
we
is
know?
different.
Yeah, and do we know, does that billboard plat actually sit on Malaya property?
Honestly,
It's in the
um,
grass.
yes, I
Behind the
think it
fence,
does.
yeah.
It doesn't, yeah, but I may not be their grass though. I don't know. Is it?
That's what I'm wondering, because of its location, I'm wondering.
It could be an easement, and they might have an easement for that. They might have getting an easement. I don't know. I wouldn't swear it's their property. It could be, but it could be an easement from Duke, or it could be, no, I don't know. It could be theirs. I don't know. It's a good question.
I
If
mean,
you-
at this
if
point,
you-
it's moot because it's been there for so long that they
Yeah.
have a.
I mean, there's definitely an easement somewhere about, either that's their own property or there's some easement somewhere, some agreement somewhere, right? I mean, Disney is not one to do that without any kind of real paperwork, I'm sure.
It is on their property.
Okay.
All right,
So-
the next step is you're gonna meet with Danica, you're gonna meet with Alma and address both of these issues. When was that meeting?
On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, I'll meet with her,
What's that
Tuesday.
date?
the 22nd.
Is it
And you all-
possible that we could talk to Mark Jones by then or somebody? Because I think I'd like to give her some guidance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Of
Mark will
what?
get back to us before then.
Yeah. It just, I think the more we can spoon feed her, the better. We're looking for this. We're not looking for that. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mark would be the right person because he had dealt with those same billboards previously.
Yep.
Because there was another one out there, which is why I asked that question about ownership, because there was another one out there on easements that was used for events that was taken down for some reason.
Well, right next to that property is ECDD property.
Okay. All righty.
Yeah.
So you'll
Yeah.
let us know after you speak to Mark Jones what his opinion of it was.
Yes.
I have another ARC though, discussion, because I saw ARC up there, so I figured it'd be opportunity. Lauren probably knows this better, but on Celebration Boulevard, there's several parcels that have chain link fences. The chain link fences are down. There's no coverings on those chain link fences and blah, blah, blah. There might be 3 parcels that have that, at least 2 parcels. And it's been that way for, I would say, a year now, let's say, possibly.
Danica?
Yeah. So I submitted 2 tickets to Osceola Code Enforcement for those 2 properties on Celebration Boulevard about a month ago.
And we can send them violations too from us.
Okay.
Yeah, how come? Right, that's right, 100%. And I think that's a good thing too, that you can do that. But can we start the violation process? Because this has been too long for them to do this. This is, yeah,
Yes.
okay. And I'm sure you know which ones they are or whatever, but I don't, there's
Mhm.
multiple ones. So, yeah, okay.
They're in bad shape.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, that was my
The-
ARC stuff.
No other ARC issues? Okay.
Nope.
All right, next discussion item is the Bollard update. If you can let us know where we stand with that.
The what? The bollard. Okay, so Christian is awaiting a bid back from a vendor. He's finally got 2 vendors actively engaging on this. We're looking at, we finalized the specs so they can get us a good number today. So hopefully we'll get a number soon. What we're looking at is manually telescoping bollards that will be installed in a long concrete strip. So what we would have to do with the paver road here is take out a section of the pavers to put that long concrete strip. Otherwise, we would have to do individualized little concrete pours for each bollard, and you would have to put more bollards to create the safety requirement and closer together, because they're not in as thick of concrete footing as they would be if they were in one long row.
So functionality, how would they work then?
They're manually telescoping in and out. So you turn a key, pull them up, turn the key, and they lock in place.
And those would be able to withstand greater speeds of vehicles than the regular bollards?
What would you?
Those are regular bollards.
Yeah, I think they're just a different type of
I'm
bollard.
talking about
So.
the individual post bollards.
They are individual post bollards. They just go up and down so they don't fully block the road permanently. And you don't have to move them and store them someplace.
Okay.
It must be spring loaded or something like that, or I don't know how they come up, but hydraulic or spring loaded or whatever.
No, it's manual. You have to physically
Oh,
pull it up.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they go flush on the ground, so you don't have any bumps or anything that will
Yeah.
affect the trip hazard. And they also are crash resistant, so they're built for that purpose of blocking vehicles and stuff like that to come in.
And when you said that it has to be poured one strip, I'm trying to think I'm maybe visual. I don't understand why you'd have to do that instead of pouring, I don't know, 5 of them. I guess it sounds like it'd be smarter to do that for sure, but
So if you pour individual
Ah.
concrete things around the base of each one,
Yeah,
there's less supporting that that one single bollard.
right.
So you need more of them closer together, no further than 36 inches apart. If you pour one big concrete slab,
Uh-huh.
it provides more stability for each single bollard, so you can spread them out up to 60 inches apart.
Okay. I got it. And looking at, on the right, they have brick. You can't do this in brick and then lay the brick around it type thing, or this is a concrete set.
It's a concrete pour. We could probably lay brick on top of the concrete once it's poured.
That will need to be discussed, they will need to keep the brick size on, like the concrete to be poured to
Mhm.
specific, and we need to make sure that that don't affect the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to go
That's
underneath, I guess, a layer
Yeah.
underneath thing, right? But maybe
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
think about. But
Yeah,
this would
we can
be,
talk about that.
yeah, that may be something we want to do because we may not want to, it may look funny to take the brick in that one spot, let's say, but it may not, I guess. Well, we could probably mock it up and, and see, I guess. Do we know how big the pad has to be, or what the dimensions of the pad have to be for the concrete?
It all depends, like, just to give an example, they can be from 36 inches to 60 to cover that entire road. So we need to decide, we're gonna go every 36, every 40, every 60, so the concrete gonna be the entire street. Now, the amount of water is gonna be depending how big we want that entrance in between them. I would say 36 to 40 will be perfect. 60, you maybe can squeeze something in between, but 36 to 40, 48, you're still fine.
Okay.
Motorcycle
And-
will go in, bicycle will go in, but no cars.
Yeah, right. That's kind of obviously what you want. But yeah, I would definitely look at, is there a way to make it, could we have it disappear because a concrete strip would look like we put a concrete strip there, as opposed to if there's some way we can match the brick somehow or something like that would be interesting. I know it probably costs more, but it may be worth it for the looks. So something to
Yes.
look into.
Well,
Okay.
one question too is, we're talking about bricks only in one section, and that would probably be the strip between Titani and the Newark Bakery.
Mhm.
Because this is a matter of safety, would it be worth asking the county if that could be done on the street side so that you don't have to disturb the bricks?
I'm
Yeah.
betting you the county will not let you touch their road.
So there already is a small, share my screen again. There already is a small concrete line about
Right.
5 or
Right.
6
There's a
inches.
small strip. Yep.
So it would just be changing that section there to about, a couple feet deep.
Yeah. In fact, if we did a survey, I wonder like where our part ends. Is it actually at that line or something like that? But yeah. Okay. No, you're right. You'd have a bigger strip, I guess, and it's not that much bigger when you think about it. I mean, it depends how big the bollards are, but it wouldn't be crazy. Yeah.
It
No.
would
'Cause
probably be like 12 inches
Yeah.
width and then the length of the street.
It probably
Yeah, there
look
is a-
better as a straight line instead of individually poured as well.
Yeah. You could make it look decent, I think. Yeah, for sure. There is,
Or you-
like you said, there is a line anyway, so.
Yeah, or you just move that line back a few feet and start the bricks in one spot instead of have bricks, no bricks, bricks again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intention. It would be, it would go the county's concrete to the bollard concrete to brick.
So yeah, somewhere in this vicinity.
Like Lee
So-
said, though, do we know if that line is actually the hard line of where the county road begins? Because there's that weird space where it doesn't actually get into the loop for a little bit.
Based on the property appraiser's website, I mean, before we do this, we would have to have a surveyor come out.
Right.
And specifically note the line, but based on the property appraiser's website, it looks like where the pavers start and that little thin strip of concrete is where the CNOA property starts.
Mike, we may, interesting enough we may just want to survey, right? I mean, obviously, what I was gonna say, the next steps, I mean, we'd have to, what is the next steps? What are your next steps, do you think?
We're waiting on getting pricing back so we can
Okay.
then start making decisions with prices.
So is this company just, they sell the product, or is there a build install, or, I mean, or what?
They're a turnkey company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll purchase the bollards and the materials and they will install it.
Okay. Then they'll order a survey. Anyway, this is just because the other answer to see if we can talk to the county, but we may want to, okay.
I have a Q2 call with Peggy later this month, so I can ask her.
Okay.
All right, any other questions about the bollards?
I
Lee?
send you the picture if you want to show it.
You want to send it to me? I'm on
Yeah,
the
send
phone.
it to Jason.
Oh,
He's running the show.
So you can see the individual versus the.
Sorry, what were you saying, Mike?
I was just asking if Lee had any more questions regarding the bollards before we move on to the next line.
Yeah.
No. Well, thanks.
Okay.
Bylaws, this is something that, we discussed with the CJC. I asked this to be on the agenda more so that we could kind of fill Celie in on the discussions that we had. And that was, I guess that's something that we're gonna have to wait until the next CJC meeting then, to discuss further.
Yes.
Did you have any questions, Lee?
No.
All right, I think discussion item D, we already have discussed.
The DBA update.
Is finished, correct?
It was fully filed, completed, so you're up and running.
Yeah, it's already registered with Sunbiz, so I see it.
Yeah.
I think moving forward, I think one thing that we want to make sure that we do is CNOA should still be the business name used for ARC and those types of, for that type of business, and the visit celebration used primarily for marketing arm of CNOA.
Yeah, I would not recommend using the visit celebration to send violation letters.
That's my point exactly. That needs to be under the business arm of CNOA, and then the marketing arm should be under visit celebration. The first draft of the cost sharing agreement, do you have any update on how your discussions went at your CORA meeting regarding this?
Jared provided a recap of the email that you sent, Mike. And there was brief discussion about it.
They kind of kept it at a CJC level. Though.
Yeah.
They basically said, we're in these conversations with them. They're moving in the right direction. And then they pretty much stopped it to say, let's keep these conversations up with CJC.
Okay, so at the CJC level, I guess at our June meeting, we'll have a better understanding of their position.
Yes.
Lee, any questions?
No.
Okay. Marketing specialist update. If you can introduce her to us. And
Yes. So our marketing specialist is Adriana Roman, who's right here. Hello.
Hello.
We've had her kind of working on articles. So she did the article for Town Tavern. She's also worked on a couple of blog posts. So she did a blog post for the new business Don Tacos. The Don Tacos. We went there. She also did a blog post for the run that you have coming up. So I've had her, the school district, I think, sent in something that she did another blog post for.
Yeah, Osceola.
And then we had her start working on, what was it social media? Was it like a social media?
Yeah, I created a social media proposal on Canva. So I've created several templates for CROA. So I could send that over eventually if you'd like to take a look at it.
Yeah, so this is your look and style for social media posts for CNOA, I guess, or for is that what you're looking at? Okay.
Yeah, CNOA, yeah. I created some templates and then I created a social media calendar as well.
How do you think about our discussion about using visit celebration as in your world, it should probably be mostly Visit Celebration, you know what I mean, as CNOA. Does that make more sense to you, or is that something
Yes.
that you can run with? Okay. So, Mike, maybe you should send her the logos that you worked on and stuff like that. I took the domain because I was gonna have you guys take over. So I have Visit Celebration. I think I have Facebook and Instagram pages for that. So and then
We'll want a
so that
Facebook,
way, what's that?
we'll want a Facebook page too under that. Visit
Yeah,
Celebration.
I think I have those. I think I created them in the website also. So I'll maybe come over there this week sometime and kind of download that stuff to you, and you guys could take it over type stuff. Um, visitcelebration.com was not available, but visitcelebration.org was available. So if you go to that, that's me basically. So I can turn that over to you also, but we'll try to get .com since I think I know who has it. But I wanted to get something running, wanted us to have something running, and basically, the opportunity. I kind of look at this as because you're controlling both the celebration Facebook page, let's say, and the and we'll call this the new one, right? The Visit Celebration. And I think between that, you could do a little bit of both. There might be some cross posting for sure, but some things are maybe not appropriate for this. We want to really we want to post every day pretty much about something in the Visit Celebration world. You know what I mean? So we want you to think, if this is your business and your business is every business that's in Celebration, there's probably a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? So I think that there's an opportunity to kind of once you get your feet wet, I guess a little bit, is maybe you'll tell us what you think we could be doing as opposed to us telling you. But I think for right now is we do have those things, and we'd like to start, creating content, that kind of stuff. I did want to talk to you about the Celebration News magazine, and maybe I probably should have brought this up in the CJC meeting, but what is the intent of this? And I mean, and by the way, I have a little bit of history of this because back in the day when I was in CROA, but what's the intention of the magazine itself? When I look at it and I open it up, it says Town News Celebration Board of Directors, and it has CROA and the CDD in there. It doesn't mention anything about CNOA, which is fine. But maybe now that we're Visit Celebration, it makes more sense to start looking at this magazine and saying, I mean, and I look at this magazine and I think there is one article on a business, and it's I think this one is the ice cream person or whatever. So it's
last month with the ice cream.
which is great. But in this entire magazine, and I think we have to think about that, is that it shouldn't be. We should think about who this magazine is for, and this is more of a CJC question also, is really who is it geared towards, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. And because we're it's not just going to people's houses, here have the thing on it, came to the house, but it's also being put outside to the hotel and that kind of stuff, and it's going around. So I think we kind of have to look at that, you guys both really, and maybe it needs to morph a little bit differently, but I would say though, as a whole, CNOA or Visit Celebration probably needs more businesses in there somehow, and to think about that a little bit, where it's not just homeowner centric in a way. So anyway, just something to think about when you do that, during the month and stuff like that. So, but I think though, so I'll make a note. I'll turn over the social media stuff to you, that kind of stuff. I think what we did talk about before you got here was one of the things that we want is there is, say, an email list of owners, but we're really looking for a list of every business, their managers, their email addresses.
Hold
and
on,
for
that's
you,
another agenda item coming up.
oh, is it? My fault. Okay. Well, we might. Okay. So anyway, so that's one of the things we're talking about. So anyway, can you, then I won't go through that now, is maybe you could tell Mike and I a little bit about what you perceive is, how you could help us, I guess. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I assume that you've been here a couple days, that kind of stuff. And, maybe maybe you can kind of give us a little rundown of what you think you could do. Like you talked about the style guide. That's something for sure that we could probably look at. I think those are good starts for sure.
Yeah, me and Belinda had the idea of creating like a passport, kind of like how Epcot does for their festivals. So it would be focused on the food industry for CNOA. So we could, each restaurant or dining business can have like a certain food item that they want to feature on the passport, and then guests and residents and so on and so forth can go through and like get that stamped.
Yeah,
And
no, I
then
think it's a good,
eventually
right.
get some
I think
sort of
getting more residents to these places, I think are a great idea for sure. Yeah.
and like a prize at the end once they complete
Uh-huh.
said passport.
That's
Um,
cool.
Yeah, and then so that's kind of the main idea. And then I also have a suggestion to do better at SEO. I've noticed that for CNOA, the blogs are not really receiving much views, and I feel like we can implement SEO into CNOA eventually, but that does require
Right.
some funding through SEMrush and whatever keyword research tools we want to use. So I'm not
Well,
sure how the whole funding works for.
Well, it's good, and maybe we'll tell you. So we, as CNOA, as Visit Celebration, this year we do have $15,000 to spend for marketing. $5,000 we're about to spend out of it on our action item, so that we would have $10,000 to spend this year, this fiscal year, to be able to spend on that. That is why we think we want to grow Visit Celebration. And I mean, they could tell you a little bit, a little bit later, inside baseball stuff, but we want to have a lot of money to be able to invest long term, like say next year's budget. We're not talking 10,000, 15, we're talking having $100,000 of to do events and do different things and to give back to the community to do these things. So I think you're thinking the right way, because we want people to come, and we want residents to spend in, obviously the places too. So I think there's another thing you brought up about the passport, and that's a little bit with the residents, which is good, or whoever uses it. I guess it could be non-residents as well. But I think as a resident, I don't know, and maybe this is something that I don't know who has a discount for residents and who doesn't at any of these places at all. And I think as a resident, that would be helpful somehow too. So that's when, again, knowing the businesses, knowing the managers, that kind of stuff. I mean, anybody who lives in town would love to know, maybe on Tuesday at Posto Pizza, which by the way, they do. I'm just saying this Townie Tuesday, and I know Posto Pizza does that, but I'm not sure about, what other places. And I think that would be good to, to have on maybe even on the CNOA side, a list of restaurants or that kind of stuff and stuff like that. I think those things are good, because I think the restaurants want to drive traffic for sure.
Hey, Lee, give me 1 second real quick. I noticed Celie has joined us. Hi, Celie.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see her.
Hi. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Just want to give you a quick update, because we didn't have a quorum. We skipped forward to the discussion items. We'll go ahead and finish the discussion items, and then we'll jump back to the approval of the agenda, verifying a quorum, and the action item that's on today's agenda. We are currently on letter F. If you have the agenda in front of you, we just meet Adriana, our new marketing person, and that's where we are right now. We're discussing on letter F.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Adriana, one of the things I'd like to do too is when we start doing the Facebook page and that type of thing, if you could take a look at like the Instagram and Facebook pages of Experience Kissimmee, that is more like the route that we're going in. We're not looking for a discussion page where people can, bash each other and that type of thing. We're not looking to be a forum. We're looking to be more of an information source. Like
Marketing.
I said, yeah, marketing. So Experience Kissimmee would be a perfect example if you look at their marketing efforts. We want it to be informational. When there's a grand opening, we want them to hear about it from us first, not from Celebration Back Porch or just random posts everywhere. We'd prefer to be the source of that information. So that's kind of the what we're hoping for.
Yeah, part of the social media plan that I suggested, I have like a whole schedule on when we can publish things. So I have Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So
Okay.
Mondays being like a business spotlight, Wednesdays being wellness Wednesdays. So industries that have to do with health, wellness, physical stuff. And then
Marketing calendar
Fridays-
would be great. That's a social media
and
calendar.
then-
is
yeah.
important. Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
Friday is Fun Food Friday. So for any industry or company that has to do food, we can spotlight that.
Okay. Okay. No, I think having the calendar. Are you good in front of the camera? Any long form content like YouTube, and then you could break it up and put it into Reels and TikToks and stuff like that? Is that something that you have experience with?
Not direct experience, no. But I would
Okay.
be willing to take on the challenge, so.
Yeah, I think think about that, because I think that some of this stuff lends itself to, I see, visiting that restaurant, you know what I mean, that we're talking about, the new one, and then you create some long form content, and then you could really take that and use that content. And I could even give you some, there's some easy, cheap software that we could invest in that can help you do your job better, to actually help you do this, you know what I mean, and get it done. So yeah, it seems like that might be something that we might want to look into.
And if you're
when the grand
uncomfortable,
opening for that taco restaurant opened, we went there and we took our own content, so I was able to embed that into a blog,
Yeah,
instead of just taking photos, so, yeah.
yeah.
and if you're ever uncomfortable being in front of the camera, we can even look at, hiring a spokesperson or an on-camera person if that's something that we need. We don't want to feel like if you're uncomfortable with it, you have to do that.
Okay.
Any questions for Adriana?
No, I think we jumped from thing to thing, but question I have is, I don't want to take, say, staff, Lauren, Jacob's time every time to do this. I do think that we, as you're new and you're getting in, and and I think we need to meet more regularly. And I don't know if it's maybe some sort of, and maybe we need like a weekly, maybe from staff, a weekly update on stuff. And it's not to oversee it. It's more, I think we want to start guiding you, because we're really trying to invest in this, right? And I think that this, for somebody who's just coming in like you, this is a great opportunity, because we are going to really put some fuel to this fire, and we're going to invest in this in the next year, especially because we don't have that much budget right now. But I think that, so we're looking for ideas, we're looking for things, but we're also looking for feedback from you, and give feedback, I think. So maybe we should think about, having a 30-minute sit down or something like that via, and just to kind of, see what you've done. Quite honestly, let's call it, I'm doing air quotes, our only full employee, let's call it, 90% us, 100%, whatever it is type thing. So I think, and really our efforts are really going to grow on this. So I think that it's not going to happen overnight, but I think that we probably need to work together more than, say, a CNOA quarterly meeting or that kind of stuff. So think about that. I think that we should be talking at least weekly or bi-weekly, in my opinion.
Yeah, sounds great.
Definitely. And I just want to add to what Lee just mentioned. There's a way, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I've kind of fallen into the logarithm of TikTok and Instagram and all those. And there's a way that you can go in and have all your pictures and all your context set up. So every day we'll bring in something. The idea is, if you download something to that particular app every day, or if you have more content, of course, 2 or 3 times a day, that's the way we're going to fall in the top. So kind of do a little study on that, and how can you help us? Some days you may have more time than others, but those days that you have more time, it's when you need to invest in this, logarithm game.
Okay.
Are you doing are you using any software scheduling for social media scheduling and distributing, or are you doing it by yourself without?
Just using it through Meta.
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
There's also a way that we can invest a little money to start.
Yeah,
with,
no, I think I was saying that, Celie, for sure. There are, my companies, we use a third-party service, a company that, software that literally we make a content calendar online. There's a couple different, there's lots of, different software that does this. You make a content online, you could set it for tomorrow, the next day, whatever. You could and you could pre-schedule it, and it'll actually just do it and will actually, you'll schedule it and do it. So you could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
so we used to have that. But we got rid of it when we discontinued the CROA Twitter account. Because it wasn't worth the money, because
Right.
through Meta, you can pre-schedule things like you do with a content calendar.
100%. Yeah. For Meta, you can, for Instagram and Facebook, but if we're, I guess, and if we're throwing in a YouTube and throwing in a TikTok or something, it becomes onerous because it's a lot, but it's something long-term. But if you get good at the Meta stuff, and then, you can't do every platform, but certainly you want to do the platforms that are popular for sure. So, but yeah, no, I get it. We could talk a little bit further about that later on.
Do you guys have a list of platforms you want to utilize for the visit? Because it sounds like you want to utilize more than obviously Facebook and Instagram. So do you have your list of platforms you want?
I think, I mean, and this is maybe not for us. I mean, I think we could probably use, and TikTok could go away tomorrow type stuff, but I think TikTok, you think about the events we have, now snowing and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of opportunity for TikTok, and it may not be just for you, because we may have a budget, of course, also to actually bring in some influencers and stuff, and most of them will be TikTok or Instagram influencers, that kind of stuff for events. So think about that too. But my idea, and it may not be today, it might have to be 4 months from now, is to create some long form content for like YouTube, and being able to take that and using that, and then you could break up those videos and then put them put them on Instagram, do the reels, do TikTok and do that kind of stuff. So, but we don't have to do it overnight. I think that's the good thing, is this is a marathon, not a sprint, for what we're talking about. And we only have so much budget this year anyway, but we're looking at really trying to grow this, this end of the year and the next year for sure. So.
Celia, do you have any questions for Adriana or Belinda?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
And the next agenda item is kind of tied into marketing anyway. Obviously, we need some type of identity that you're going to be using when you promote the Visit Celebration name. We had narrowed it down to 2 logos. Now we need to figure out what to do next. Lee had some ideas of sending it out to membership. Personally, I have some hesitations about that, because then all the people that voted for the one that you don't pick feel like we ignored their suggestion. And I don't want to give that appearance that we're ignoring their suggestion, because half the people are going to be happy and half are going to be upset. So
You never know until you vote. It could be 75%, 25%. You never know.
yeah, but I'm just saying, if whoever votes for the one that we don't pick is going to feel like, why'd you bother to ask for my opinion? So,
No, but that's why you got voted. That you have a
I
little
don't
vote and a
know.
little thing. I don't actually care. I mean, but we should send it to them for sure. We did create a logo, or logos, right? I mean, several, right? That you
well,
did.
let's get a feel for the room.
Yeah.
Jacob, Warren, Belinda, Adriana, Celia, what are your thoughts?
No, I emailed it to you.
Did you send it to him, Mike?
Yeah, just 1 sec. I'll pull them up.
Okay.
Did you say you're sending it to a community vote?
No, my idea was,
Ah.
remember, our owners for CNOA are business owners. So my idea, and it just because it's an idea doesn't mean it's a good one, and it came from me for sure. That we send it out to the owners. We send them both. I think we narrowed it down to 2 logos, but you guys look at it, and we let them vote on which one they like best. And literally, I mean, I've done this before with other things, and when they click on it, you've seen it where it shows the percentage and how well and that kind of, and let them vote on it. But again, I don't care enough that much. I just thought it would be a good way to introduce Visit Celebration to the owners by getting them to vote on it, where we can tell our story and what we're doing, and let them have an ownership interest. And for sure, some people, when they vote, their vote won't win, but it is a logo. It's not,
Yeah, I just don't want to delay the process anymore, especially if we want her to get rolling with social media.
Sure. Yeah, it's again, whatever we decide, I don't really care.
But Jacob, Lauren, Belinda, the people in the room there with you now, what are your thoughts on the two that you see?
See, I voted and I'm trying to remember which I voted for or which one I thought it was. I think I liked the one on the right.
Yeah, I like the one on the right.
I like the one, yeah, with the finer font, the right one.
I see why Lee's smiling and laughing because I'm the only one that likes the one on the left, I think.
No, I like the one on the left. I think of like printing purposes, or if you try to get it on shirts or anything, the finer fonts are usually harder when it comes to
True.
collateral and merchandise and everything.
So
I like the look of
To
it.
me, the one on the left, the V reminds me of more of a visitor's bureau, but that they have a different mission, which is, more heads and beds based, where the one on the left does align more with kind of our aesthetics package here in celebration, and it puts more emphasis on the word celebration instead of the word visit. That was why I like the one on the right.
When you give that explanation, then you sway me.
Oh, I could say something that would just as easily, but yeah, no.
There you go. I mean,
No, I like them both. It's apples, and apples and different type of apples to me. But I think that to me, the one on the right that I liked it better just looks it looks more 2024, basically. I don't know. It's easier. It seems. But again, neither of them are. They're both good anyway. So I can read the word visit better, I think, in the one on the right. That's because it's just it's the separation of the letters a little bit.
Yeah, my concern with the one on the right was just it would be lost against other backgrounds.
But if you didn't know, by the way, the one on the left said the word visit, could you read that right away and know that it's VISIT?
No, yeah, because that second I gets lost in the T.
See, he knows it. That's the thing is, to me, it looks like we know it. So we say that if you showed it to somebody right away that didn't know what we're talking about, I'd be interested if they knew that actually said VISIT. It's not, what I mean? It's just a little bit too thick. Anyway, just my thought.
I'm fine with either, but I think we need to figure out the next step because
we need to decide on it. Exactly. In fact,
media.
Yeah.
Mike, were you recommending you want to take these two to a vote, or I know you mentioned a concern. Do you not want to take it out and you just want to move forward with one?
Well, Lee wants to take it to a vote of the CNOA members, the 54 CNOA members. I personally don't want to delay the process any longer, and I prefer we do it at a vote of this board, but I'm open to either.
I mean, I think if you do open it up to a board, you're also opening up criticism on the whole idea of change.
Yes, and we're asking them to make a decision before they even know what visit celebration is all.
I would recommend this board vote and then say the board as a whole has voted to implement a DBA with this logo, like come up with a letter introducing it to the owners of CNOA.
Yeah, that's what we'll definitely do. Once we have it, we need to introduce ourselves for sure. But so how do we get to this question is, how about there's a recommendation from our marketing team, possibly. Look at, you've heard the discussions with bigger, thicker. It could be on more, the thicker one could be on shirts. Maybe we could, maybe there's an adjustment between that, with the font. I don't know. Maybe there's a happy medium. So it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't think there's anything that would prevent us from using the one on the left in future marketing things, but for the logo, for social media and that type of stuff, we need something closer, like right now. So,
but the person who did this, Mike, I guess I would say, so legally, somebody created this, you had somebody do this. Do we get a release from them, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so do we can give them a couple bucks for this?
He was actually the former graphic person for Town Hall.
Chris, right?
Scott,
right, okay, yeah.
Do you want me to kick this to my corporate marketing team and have them weigh in?
Yeah, let's get some advice. Because Mike and I have been too close to it, I guess. Maybe there's some things we didn't see. But I think Mike, thank you. I mean, he did a great job. We did it out to, there was a ton more. it looks like a good thing. So yeah, maybe let's, yeah, get some advice, maybe somehow.
Really? Celia, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, I mean, the if we have the opportunity to let the town vote, it would be nice so they feel included in this process. But I also see that it could create a lot of back and forth, and it's going to take us longer to launch it. So to me, it is what it is. Whatever. I like them both. And if we can keep both, it would be nice anyway. Like in our hotel, when we did the rebranding, we have like this logo would be in 5 different colors. Our main colors of the palette, we have our logo in 5 different palettes in different fonts. So if we can keep both, and then we'll take advantage of when we need it font and when we need it bold, you know?
All right, Lauren, could you ask your marketing people to try to give us an answer, say within a week to 10 days, so that we don't delay marketing efforts anymore,
Yes,
and just weigh in on their opinion?
yep.
All right, I appreciate that. Any more
And
discussion
it's
on-
green, maybe it could be, again, I guess Adriana looking at this, is maybe there could be other colors, this is one color, but we could, use the font elsewhere. So anyway, now we're kicking it to you guys. You come back to us.
Yeah.
So,
Once we have the EPS on the chosen logo, the color variations is very simple.
yeah,
That's easy to do.
when whatever style guide we choose, exactly.
Yeah,
We can-
black
yeah,
and white, all kinds of color options. This is
Yeah.
more for the graphic of it.
yeah.
I'm gonna share the updated CNOA. So CNOA updated their color scheme and approved
Oh, really?
logos and all that last year. I'll have Belinda email that to you guys so you can see the updated colors.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys, take this and tell us what you think, and and yeah, that would be great. We don't have to, we could, if you guys have good advice, we'll take it for sure.
But if you can, try to make time of the essence. Like try to get us an answer if you can, say within 10 days at the most. So that we don't.
Let's move on to rotating food events.
All righty. We're kind of at a standstill. We talked about doing some rotating food events at the different properties. We're kind of strapped as far as downtown goes until we have the bollards in place, or at least a plan for safety. What are the, what the status is of the other locations that they were looking at?
I think you would need to set up a meeting with Allison on that one.
Okay. I believe there was something that they were already planning though, correct? Out at the, out by Scoops?
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that a CNOA event, or is that part of these rotating food events?
I believe it's a CNOA event.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of our
Okay.
small pop-up events.
Okay. I'll get with Allison then too, and we'll see about where we stand with some of the ideas we had shared with the rotating food events at the various locations throughout Celebration.
Yeah, so I think moving forward with that and on things with social media and marketing things, we can keep the CNOA meetings at quarterly, and then you guys can set up meetings with Adriana and with Allison on the events. The only thing I'll say in that regard is maybe appointing a liaison for each thing. So one of you's focusing on the marketing and reporting back to the board, and one of you's focusing on the events and reporting back to the board. That way we don't run into quorum issues if you're all trying to meet with Adriana and there's kind of a one voice from the board to the staff people.
Okay. Any questions about the food events, Lee or Seeley?
No, we'll just table it until right now.
Uh-huh.
No.
Yes.
All right. At the last meeting, we had kind of discussed the ice cream truck and mobile vendors, what can be done. I think you were going to talk to the county and see if there's already an ordinance in place, or if there's anything enforceable to prevent them from going.
So we kind of addressed this at the CJC meeting. I'm waiting on a response from Angel about the CDD, stepping up because they have some ability to restrict that in celebration. And it's a topic of conversation that I have, for my meeting with Peggy.
Yeah, I think what Peggy said was, from what I understand, is if all these organizations just say yes, then, you know, and somebody comes to us, what she's afraid of is CROA says this and this. She doesn't like residents coming to her and saying, I want this, but then, you know, it's not organized. So if CROA says, if CROA agrees, we can get CROA board to agree, CNOA, CJC and CDD, then I think that things might go easier. So, yeah.
Yeah, she
So-
wants all governing
Right.
entities in celebration to agree
Right.
before she does anything.
Yeah, which I get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions? Did you freeze?
Not at the
Anyone?
time.
Okay. I guess
Security.
Jay- Yeah, J was letter J was something we already discussed at the CJC meeting. This was more for Celie to hear. We had discussed the need for security throughout multiple entities, both pro-residential and business. Jack joined us at the CJC meeting. They're looking into some different options and talking to the sheriff's department to try to get some greater coverage. So once we hear back from that, we'll report back to you, Celie, and the CNOA board.
I guess that's more with Lauren talking the step. I mean, the same thing with Angel from
Yeah.
CDD and all that. Yeah. So.
All right. Pulley system update. Are we still ready to go? Or has there been any tests done on it yet with a new banner? Or
The banner was ordered. No, the banner will be ordered at the end of the week. The farmer's market, which was the banner that we were gonna use to test it, wanted to have some commentary on the style of the banner, so they're meeting with Nikki on that this week. Then it'll be ordered and we'll put it up and test it by the end of the month. When it comes to the lighting, that should be installed within the next week or so, based on my update from Christian today. So we're just waiting for confirmation that the actual lights got delivered before the vendor comes out and installs.
okay, are those LED spotlights, or what are they putting there?
Yeah, they're LED lights that are similar to what was out there previously.
Okay. So they're not park cans or anything, they're just regular LED flashlights or something?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay,
I think he did get ones where we could change the colors on them. So if it was for a holiday, we could do like red and green for Christmas or.
I didn't think so. I thought it was an extra amount.
Oh, that's extra.
But it was an
Oh, never
extra.
mind. He talked about that for Memorial or for Founders
I
too.
think we should look at that for sure still, though. I think it's a good idea, though, to be able, today's day and age, if you're going to put lights on, most people are doing LEDs that could be adjustable.
Yeah, RBGs.
Yeah.
all right, so that covered L and M. N is what Lee started to refer to earlier. One of the most important things that we think we need is we need a few different distribution lists. We need one that's just for the 50-something CNOA owners,
We have that already.
and then we need a contact list for the individual businesses under those CNOAs, under those CNOA properties. So that's something we'd like to see worked on, is a more comprehensive list. Once we know who to contact at each place, it'll be easier to contact, and it'll be easier to gather information regarding grand openings, special happenings, that type of thing.
Or, yeah, discounts for residents, blah, 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 almost anything, right? I mean, so, yeah.
I know.
This
Was
is the
this
one that we're
Stephanie Shorten?
looking for more of the business owner, the business management side, all their information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they seem to want more information than what we have.
Yeah, so I know
we
we,
need,
Perfect,
so we
yes.
need a bullet, like a list of what they're, what columns they want to see.
so we have it more on a community standards perspective of who is the development owner of each.
That's the one that Chris originally put
Mhm,
us, yeah.
But I think what the next step is more of a business, which could be the renters or leasees.
So, we have that, but I think they want more contact.
They
Like
want
we
the
have
email.
just like the address, like the info email and like the info phone number?
No, they want the manager name and the manager's like direct email address.
Okay, so manager contact info.
Like, let's use the water tower shops, for example, because that's on the agenda, the 20th anniversary. We know Unicorp would be the CNOA member, and we have that person's contact information, but we want the contact information for each business owner or manager for each business, so that if we need to communicate something with the water tower, we know who to contact. If
they want to do prizes for an event or that, I think that you're going to want that as a marketing team. Is you're going to want to be able to get information for events, or even our monthly newsletters. There should be one specifically for everybody that doesn't just go to owners. We can include the owners as well, of course, but I think that that way, knowing who to communicate with and telling them things are going on, it's going to be great for us to be able to do that.
What we'd like is for them to really also get to know you, Adriana, so that if business XYZ is planning a grand opening or a 10th anniversary celebration, or whatever, they'll know, let me reach out to Adriana and get this, covered on the visit celebration sites or in the magazine or something. So we kind of want that dual relationship, so they'll know, oh, if I want to get word out about this happening, this is who I can go to.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it would be helpful for some of the owners to actually communicate with me and give me some materials to work with.
Yeah, it'll help get more content. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over the next few weeks, and it's probably going to be, a lot of work, because it's going to be, hitting the pavement and going out there and meeting you and introducing yourself to people. But once it's established and you have all of those contacts, it'll make life easier for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So does that mean
And this is all new because we've never done that before. At the end of the day, this marketing organization has never existed. So I think that, if we tell them what we're doing and we try to get information from them and you get content from them, I think it's going to help. It's going to be a lot easier. So.
Yeah. And when you guys, like, for instance, on the residential side, CNOA sends out emails to residents about hurricane prep or where to go to get sandbags or where to go to. We'd like to be able to do that too with all the business owners and managers. Like, hey, make sure you secure your umbrellas and that type of thing. And we don't have that sort of communication available to us for businesses, but we'd like to have that.
Okay, well, they'll get working on that.
Okay. Letter O is the water tower shops 20th anniversary. This is their 20th anniversary. We talked about planning some event out there. We don't know what it is. We'd like to hear your ideas, and maybe this is an Allison conversation we need to have. But
it's an Allison conversation.
Okay. But we also want to get with Unicorp and see what we can promote for them for their 20th anniversary of the water tower shops.
It's not Unicorp anymore, right? It's
they don't
Crossman,
no.
right?
But Unicorp developed it. Interesting enough, they might want to be involved. That was one of his first deals that he did, actually. So that's pretty close to him. But again, having that list, as you say, so we could, yes, water tower, we're having the event, but if you could email the manager from Arms Theory Fitness and Posto Pizza, and we say we're having an event, could you supply free pizzas, or we're going to have raffles, maybe it's a day we're going to have music out in the parking lot. Certainly, there's going to be a little bit of I think opportunities if we had if we already had that information. So that's why I think it's important to kind of do these things.
Get with Allison, because she has one of the list when we ask them for sponsorships or to participate in events. So she might have a bare bones one.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, if you could maybe, when you're working on that contact list, maybe start with water tower shops, because that's the one time is of the essence with their 20th anniversary coming up.
Yeah, we'd like to do it in this year some points, and we're open for dates and something. So yeah. Okay. And it could be just it's on a Saturday between the hours of something, and Publix does something. We close off the parking lot and do part of it, and have some music or have something out there, DJ, and hand out free pizza, Publix pies or whatever they can do. I don't know. There's probably some things we can do that could be fun. You guys could probably think of better ideas than that, but yeah.
I believe that concludes the discussion items. Procedurally, how do we handle this from here, Lauren?
You need to verify quorum, adopt the agenda, and then move on to your action item.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
You do?
Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moving action item to the end. We've already discussed the discussion items.
Yep. Silly, do I have a second?
Aye.
All right. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right. The last thing we have to do then is the action item. We had set aside $15,000 for marketing efforts to help support events or things that help businesses. So we've discussed contributing 5,000 of that to the CNOA, to CCS for support of the July 4th event under the Visit Celebration name. I'd like to make a motion to approve that $5,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but I have a question if that's okay.
Okay.
So we're going to have, say, Visit Celebration will be a sponsor, a title sponsor of this. Is that how it is? We get a sponsorship. Is there a rank of sponsorships? We get a title sponsorship. Is that part of it? I would assume that would be something we.
I don't think it'd be title sponsor because there are sponsorships that have been provided that are higher than that. But it would be included on marketing efforts. Is that correct, Belinda, Lauren?
Yeah, it would be on marketing collateral. It would not be a title sponsorship. That's probably going to be Lexan, and it's typically been either Mattamy or Larson Slayton or Exquisite lately.
No, and that's fine. I see a lot of Crow on stuff. It would be, so wherever we put this, Visit Celebration or the non-residential owners. I think that obviously this would be good for Visit Celebration. Okay, I understand. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. With none opposed, the motion passes for the $5,000 contribution from CNOA to CCS for the July 4th support. Any other questions? Okay. Last thing, board comments. Any other comments by board members?
Nope.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
All right.
Have a
Thanks.
good one,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Said somebody drove into the place.